Morning, all.
Good morning.
Yeah, so me and Paul are going to talk about how we have implemented HashiCorp Vault within LSEG and how it helps us to reduce the security risk and improve the dev experience. So let's go ahead with the introduction. My name is Akash Gupta. I'm Platform Engineering Lead for LSEG. My main responsibility is to build, develop, and design enterprise CI/CD tools for LSEG. I also help teams to onboard on the DXOne platform. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Paul Cavanaugh. I'm the field CTO for a boutique DevSecOps and DevEx company who work closely with LSEG.
Perfect. This is our DXOne core engineering team. We have David Jones, who is head of engineering X and productivity. We have Naveen, Sam Lakshman is also here, and we have Hussain, who is our RSC HashiCorp engineer with us. So, what we are going to talk about today, we are going to talk about LSEG. We are going to talk about how we are implementing DXOne in the LSEG. We'll talk about some of the opportunities we got to improve security posture for LSEG. We will spend some time that what is our Vault capabilities are and what security engines and what auth methods we have enabled. We will spend some time that how we have implemented Vault platform in the organization. We'll talk about some of the security journey and the milestones which we have. And we'll spend some time that how we are onboarding applications team on the DXOne platform and how it's seamless experience for the teams to onboard on the DXOne platform. And in the end, we will talk about some of the key learnings and adoption strategy part. Perfect. Paul?
Cool. So, London Stock Exchange Group. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware of the fact London Stock Exchange has a proud history of over 300 years. It's grown through merger and acquisition. It's diversified as well. And today it now has a global footprint. And some of the most critical services and economic functions in the world depend on the London Stock Exchange and its technology services. As an example, we service around 45,000 clients in 170 countries, so that's a global footprint. We service 400,000 individuals across those 45,000 clients. We have around 26,000 colleagues in around 60 countries. 50% or more than 50% of those are actually in the software engineering function or operations. So we truly are a technology shop. In terms of criticality, over 442 billion daily happens in the FX platforms. 367 billion happens daily, on average, US dollars, in terms of fixed income. As an example, we hold pricing information on around 100 million securities. That's real-time and historic. So one of the databases that powers that has 87 trillion data entries, and we need to be servicing that in real time for real-time trading, so low latency stuff. So we are dependent on the services we deliver on technology and getting it right first time, every time, and quickly. So our response to that, it was interesting listening to Ruben earlier on from Lloyd's in terms of their journey, the need to make developer experience, remove friction from that process, give developers and engineers and operations staff tools, the right tools, modern tools, to be able to pave, build, develop applications and infrastructure, do it reliably, and do it in a governed, well-governed way. Our response to that is to build what we're calling DXOne. That's our integrated developer platform. It has many components, best-of-breed tools, strategic partnerships. As a regulated entity, we need to make sure that we build compliant software. It's reliable, it's resilient, and we want to basically move faster and faster whilst in control and compliance to make sure that we delight our customers and we're delivering change faster and faster to permit business innovation.
So as part of the DXOne program, right, one of the intent was to understand what are the gaps we have in the organization that gives us the opportunity to improve the security posture for the organization. We did, a lot of brainstorming sessions with security architects, security leads, and developers leads to understand that how they are, managing the secrets within the organization. So we did, the security strategy document to start with, and the intent was just to understand the gaps we we have, how the teams are using, different tickets in the organization, how they are using different tools, and see this opportunity that how we can improve this in the new solution. So, as part of this strategy document, we identify a lot of opportunity for us to build. The first thing we notice is the teams are using multiple ticket management tool. It's because of the large history of LSEG with merger and acquisition. It's the challenge with this is that there is no single source of truth of the secret management tool. There is no life cycle of the token or the secret as well. We wanted to make sure that we provide a strategic tool for application teams to use it, so that they have single source of truth to start with. The next thing which we notice is lots of teams are using, hard-coded secrets, which we really want to make sure that in the new solution they, switch to the dynamic secret engine and not having hard-coded secrets in the code base as first place. There are a lot of issues and limitations with using hard-coded secrets because one is that it's exposed to humans, which defeats the purpose of using, Vault and other tools if you want to use, right? So we want to make sure in the new solution the secrets are not exposed to humans. The other challenges with hard-code secrets are there is manual rotation team needs to do, and the high TTL. We want to make sure that the new secrets are with the low TTL, and make sure that there is a dynamic ways how the teams can automatically and dynamically rotate those secrets. The next thing we notice is the infrastructure. As we were growing and growing more with the DXOne adoption, we wanted to make sure that our infrastructure is aligned with our the expectation from the customer. We wanted to make sure that the new infrastructure which we are building is highly available and highly resilient. So this is one of the opportunity we noticed that we want to improve in the new solution when we are building in the DXOne platform. The next thing which we notice is the RBAC. We noticed that there is no consistent behavior that how the teams are accessing secrets. There was no defined policies that who can access what secrets. We wanted to make sure that in the new solution we have a consistent RBAC model so that we define that who can access what secrets and how securely you can allow them to retrieve those secrets, securely. The next thing which we wanted to improve, and as part of the strategy document, we identify that there was a lot of teams are trying to do the same thing. We wanted to make sure that there are templates and patterns defined so that they do not need to repeat themselves and they have clear strategic way how they can consume the secrets from different CI/CD pipelines. The next thing which we notice is the network complexity. It's again because of the merger and acquisition, because when you do a lot of merger and acquisition, you have different network complexity. There are boundaries that the teams can access some of the tools and they cannot access some of the different tools in the CI/CD. We wanted to make sure that in the new solution, in the strategic solution, they have seamless experience how they can access the strategic enterprise tools. So with all of these findings and the gaps we notice in the strategy document, the intent was to go ahead with this strategy document, get a leadership review, and go ahead with some of the enterprise tools which we have in the market. The intent was to do a lot of POCs and understand that what will be the best tool for us to start with. We selected Enterprise Vault, which we found that it will be better fit for our requirement which we had. So how we have started building Enterprise Vault. So one of the things which we learned from the from the past tooling and all the strategy document, we wanted to make sure that in strategic tools we do address all those issues. We started and making sure that all of these secret engines and auth methods we have, we are very we know that whether it's aligned with the strategic alignment and roadmap we have. So we started with some of the auth methods. We are using JWT auth method and OIDC. The intent here is that it should be aligned with the strategic approach. We do not want to start, enabling a lot of auth methods and a lot of secret engines. So we started with some of the secret engines like KV secret engine and dynamic secret engine, AWS, Azure, and GCP. We wanted to address some of the common use case that how the teams and organization can use service accounts. So we started and we enable LDAP secret engine as well. One of the key secret engine which we enable is custom secret engine. We wanted to make sure that we use Vault not just for the basic native secret engine. We wanted to increase the capability so that we can address the secret zero problem as well. And we will talk about custom secret engine in AWS and Azure Dynamic Secret Engine a bit. One of the things which we have being a regulated organization, we want to make sure that how we enable the secret engine auth method. We have, a full governance process to make sure that how do we enable the capabilities in the Vault platform. We go through with the, requirement gathering with the different teams. We make sure that we do spikes and POCs around it. We go ahead with the architecture and design. We review all those, auth method and secret engines in different forums to make sure that it's approved by security. Next, once it's approved by security and governance, then we go ahead with implementation of those secret engine auth method. With this, we can talk about more on the dynamic secret engine and custom secret engine next. So once we once we start, working on the enabling some of the secret engine auth method, the first secret engine which we are using extensively is the Azure secret engine. With the partnership with Microsoft, there are a lot of teams are coming up with the different use cases. So we wanted to make sure that we address all those use cases in the capability which we have in Vault. So obviously, dynamic secret engine enables you to have low TTL with the tokens. It enables you to how you can dynamically provision and get secrets in securely in the CI/CD pipeline. The dynamic secret engine configuration is very simple. It basically, as a platform engineering team, you just need to onboard those teams and enable those Vault rules for that particular application team. From the CI/CD agents, it basically authenticates to Vault and fetch the token for the CSPs, and then you can basically deploy your resources to the CSP. The most important interesting thing here which we have done is that because of the different use cases we supported multiple tenants in the Azure, so that the teams can get and retrieve different secrets from different subscription resource group. We managed to get configure this Vault SPN with different combinations of subscription resources so that we can scope their secret to the defined tenant subscription resource group. The next one is the custom secret engine. One of the things which we wanted to make sure that we do not just build, the static secret engine and the dynamic secret engine. We wanted to make sure that we use Enterprise Vault to increase some more capability. When we were doing a lot of talks with different stakeholders, we still noticed that there are some of the teams that who wants to use Vault, to maintain the KV secrets and for dynamic secret engine. We wanted to make sure that they do not use those, just only for those use case Vault, because somehow it defeats the purpose of using Vault if you are just maintaining the static secrets and dynamic secrets in Vault. We wanted to understand that all other use cases where team needs to maintain the static secrets in Vault, and that's where we come up with the, custom secret engine approach. The custom secret engine is basically is allow you to enable any backend with the Vault, so that you can basically provide a dynamic functionality to application teams, so that they do not need to manage static secrets or API keys manually. So this is one of the key features which we worked on with HashiCorp Vault. So we discussed with a lot of stakeholders to how we can address this requirement. We go ahead with problem statement. We had a discussion with HashiCorp, and then we actually started building that custom secret engine within the organization. Some of the use case like here, if you have requirement to manage the tokens or some of the tokens which is you want to manage this, let's say within Vault, you want to make sure that you customize those so that it will work within your environment. So that's where you need to customize those secret engines somewhat so that it will work very well within the LSEG environment. So that's where we had a lot of engagement with HashiCorp before we went live, and our plan is to go back to OSS community as well to contribute back. So while we were building custom second engine, it's like required a lot of efforts to build custom second engine within the organization. And once you build the custom second engine capability within Vault, it's very easy to implement, because the intent here is that you provide teams a functionality so that they do not need to manage different tokens or different API keys from the different tools, because when you enable the CI/CD capability in the organization, you need to make sure that how do you manage the different tokens, and then you can obviously use Vault to make sure that Vault can help you to manage those tokens dynamically. So once you get configure this dynamic secret engine in the Vault, basically the way it works is that it gets the job from the CI/CD, and then it authenticates to Vault through JWT authentication. Then it basically calls back to the CI/CD tool which we have. So let's consider here there are lots of CI/CD tool. It can be here in this place where Vault needs to talk to those tools and then gets the token based on the JWT scope which you provided, and then Vault will give you the token which is it retrieved from that CI/CD tool. So once you configure this, it basically helps you to address the secret zero problems. It basically helps you to make sure that Vault is being used as a single source of truth. It basically helps you to ensure that teams are not using those secrets as a manual intervention, and they are not using as as a hard-coded secret as well. So it really helps us a lot to address a lot of use cases which we have in the organization, where the team needs to go to Vault as an UI and manage those secrets manually. We wanted to make sure that we address those use cases in the new solution, and we want to make sure that there is limited use cases where they need to go to Vault UI and log in through OIDC, auth methods, and all. Now, let's talk about how our platform looks like. So one of the things which we did is we invested a lot of time to define the right namespace model. The first thing which we tried is the root namespace to start with, and we feel that it doesn't work very well the way that we wanted to implement different namespace model in the organization. The intent was to make sure that it gives us a very good operating model capability so that we can enable auth method and secret engine as per the business unit requirement. So we had a lot of brainstorming sessions with different stakeholders. We started with defining the namespace. The root namespace. It didn't work out because it was not aligned with our business requirement. The next thing which we tried is having namespace per CSP basis. Again, we were not able to address and align our compliance and governance requirement with this. Then finally, we managed to get namespace with the business unit level. It's very lightweight, the way that it's been defined in Vault, so you can always modify and revisit this in the future if there is any changes in the business unit. So the way which we have implemented namespace is that we ended up having the business unit namespaces. It allows us to have more flexibility. The way we are going to enable auth engines, auth methods, and secret engines, it allows us to have isolation between business unit 1 to business unit 2. It helps us to keep us aligned with the more security requirements and more compliance requirement. So in the right side of diagram, if you see, this is how we can maintain our replication and disaster recovery based on the business requirement. So if business unit requirement is not to replicate the data across, outside UK or across European region, so you can always maintain this based on the business requirement. So that's the way we have implemented business unit and the multi-tenancy model within LSEG. Now let's talk about how our infrastructure look like. So as we were going ahead with more and more adoptions and more, like adoption and more and more development with the tool, we wanted to make sure that our platform is highly available and highly resilient. We wanted to make sure that we have a single-click deployment. We wanted to make sure that our infrastructure is multi-cloud and highly available. We invested a lot of times to make sure that We have CI/CD pipeline to make sure that it's a single-click deployment where it can have zero downtime upgrade. We can make sure that it's a multi-cloud and multi-region and highly available infrastructure. We also using Packer to make sure that we have custom Vault images. It helps us a lot to deploy faster in Vault. We embedded most of the license certificates within with the Packer images itself. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. Now let's talk about the security journeys and roadmap, like the milestones which we have to start with. Paul?
Cool, thank you. So we've heard of the overall positioning for the platform. We've heard elements of our journey, but I wanted to bring that to life for you. So as Akash has already explained, we've come from a land of different issues in terms of different ways of managing secrets. Looking around in the marketplace, it became pretty obvious, A, we needed to change ourselves to improve our own posture and practices, and OSS Vault basically was a key learning platform for us. That heavily then informed basically our secrets management strategy. We've been executing on that and really learning a decision, and now we're into the implementation and build stage. We went live last year with Enterprise Vault, and we've been incrementally building features as Akash has been describing. And in a moment, we'll go into a couple of interesting use cases around how we're addressing developer experience and removing friction from the process. Our ambitions for next year, effectively, are to get to that HA platform. Again, we're multi-cloud today, but we need to basically get to HA, and that really gives us the ability then for the runtime support that we're desperately keen for, that we're building towards. Very much incremental, crawl, walk, run. We've been delivering for a period of time now, evolving our capabilities in response to business needs. Akash? So, where are we today? Here's a set of bullet points, which are the main issues we started off as pain points for the organization. If we've got a tick, it doesn't mean we've cracked it entirely. It means we're well on the road. We have adequate management and mitigation of those things. We'll continue to evolve those features. The two that we're really focusing on at the moment is the HA, so that second point. And then in the middle there is the onboarding and the acceleration of onboarding of our apps, infrastructure, and developers onto our DXOne platform, of which secrets management is a fundamental and essential capability. Akash.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. So let's talk about how we onboard applications on DXOne. So one of the thing which we want to make sure that we do not onboard users or the teams on the DXOne platform. We want to make sure that we onboard applications on the DXOne platform as a product. So in this, we do not have any separate onboarding for Enterprise Vault as such. We want to make sure that the onboarding experience for the teams are seamless. So we provide them a platform and a ServiceNow self-service form where they can onboard their application on all the DXOne tools which we have. So the onboarding form is pretty automated. It gets started with the as soon as the user is the ServiceNow form. It basically we look for all this information which we need to onboard application. It required the way that they want to define RBAC model for the different CSD tools we have, and then we get a lot of information around that how we can onboard application teams based on the AWS and Azure subscription which they have. Once they fill out the ServiceNow form, it goes for the application owner to get approve those requests. We have a internal tooling to ensure that all the applications which we are onboarding on the DXOne, it's active in those systems. Once application owners approves those requests, then it triggers the automated CI/CD pipeline in the backend. This pipeline is basically to ensure that it's that particular application gets on board to the DXOne platform. Once we make progress on the CI/CD automated pipeline, it goes for different internal stages. First thing which we do is that we create those LDAP groups, and we make sure that we have those groups sync with Azure AD. We do have the recertification process to ensure that we have a JML process defined to manage the user group memberships. Once we create those groups, and in Azure AD, we go ahead with the CI/CD tool onboarding. As I just mentioned, that this onboarding is typically help teams to onboard their application or different CI/CD tools which we have. Once we go ahead with those, the tools onboarding, it triggers the Vault onboarding. We do have the Lambda endpoints, which gets internally triggered from the CI/CD tool onboarding itself. And as we make progress, we create, as part of the onboarding, we create Vault rules and bound claims for that particular application team. After this, we go ahead with creating Vault policies template. This policies template basically gives them enough access for how they can read and write the secrets from using CI/CD tools. The next thing which we do is that we create and onboard them on different secret engine. It basically the requirement which we get from the ServiceNow form. We get those data and use that data to onboard them on the different secret engine. Once we progress with this, we just close the request and make sure that the users and the requester who has submitted this request get notified. We go ahead and then complete this process. Usually earlier, because there were different toolings which we have, it used to take around 3 to 4 days, because the teams and the application team needs to onboard on different toolings. We want to make sure that it's a horizontal RBAC model and horizontal onboarding, so that they do not need to get on board on different toolings for they need to fill out different ServiceNow form. We wanted to make sure that there is a one single ServiceNow form and entry, so that they can get on board in DXOne as in one product, instead of getting on board on different tools separately. So once we onboard applications on the DXOne platform, we were providing them, the kind of developers and owners role based on the RBAC model which they define. It somewhat limit the way that they can access and read and write the secrets with Vault. When we started introducing this, and I started with early adopters phase, we got some of the feedback from the teams that they wanted to have more granular access in the way that how they can want to access vaults. They wanted to make sure that they have more granular access and separation duties defined within that groups, that how they can access the vault secrets. So we went ahead with more granular self-service vault secret engine. Since we were using policy templates, it was a lot easier for us to entertain any new requirement if there is any need to define the RBAC role at one level down, which is where they want to define the separation duties and custom capabilities of the policies. The way it works is that we get as an payload how they want to onboard their sub applications inside the vault. Once we get this information as in payload, we triggers the Terraform pipeline to ensure that it's a self-service mechanism how they can get on board on the vault. It's basically just to help them that if there is any custom requirement, how they can get on board on the vault as an self-service mechanism. The next feature which we are currently working on is PKI secret engine. We got a lot of requirements that how the developers are managing different PKI secrets in the organization. We partner with LSEG PKI team to make sure that we work on the Vault WNFI plugin to enable this feature. The intent was to make sure that we have a CI/CD capability, how they can rotate and manage the PKI certificates. That's where it's gonna help a lot of teams to manage the certificates in the organization. Basically, will help a lot of teams to manage the certificates on the fly. They can get the certificates through the CI/CD pipeline. They do not need to depend upon other tools, to generate those certificates manually. We will also address the secret zero problem as well, because the secrets will not expose to the humans in this way, and it will be securely accessible through the CI/CD pipeline. So now, in this whole journey of the adoption and onboarding, we have a lot of key learnings. The first thing is we want to fail fast approach, that we want to make sure that whenever we introduce any new secret engine auth method, we go ahead with early adopter phase. We want to make sure that while we are working on early adopters, we make sure that all the issues which the teams are facing, we fix those in the as soon as possible. The next thing we want to work on is the strategic intent. We want to make sure that we drink our own champagne, that to make sure that we onboard our applications first on all the tooling capability we have in the DXOne. The next learning we had that we want to make sure that we have all the how-to user guide in the organization, so that for it's a lot easier once we onboard any teams on the tool, it's a lot easier for them to understand that what are the capabilities of the tools and platform it is. So we have a lot of user guides and demos, videos, so that they can get started without coming back to us on after the onboarding. And the last and not least, but we have a very good partnership with HashiCorp and DevOps, which help us a lot to to build this platform and Vault capabilities in the organization, and that really help us a lot in this. Thank you.
Thank you.